Welcome to the Masters of Wellness podcast channel. Join us on a transformative journey as we explore the intersection of health, well-being, and global perspectives. Each episode delves into holistic approaches that combine Eastern wisdom with Western science, offering actionable insights to enhance your mind, body, and spirit. Hosted by wellness experts Edward and Chuck and inspiring international guests, we discuss topics ranging from mindfulness and nutrition to fitness, innovation, and business. Whether you're a wellness professional, enthusiast, or someone seeking to improve your lifestyle, you'll find valuable takeaways here. Subscribe now and be part of a thriving community dedicated to creating a healthier, more balanced world. Let's grow together, one conversation at a time. New episodes every week.
And welcome back again, everyone, to the Masters of Wellness podcast. Wow, we have a super special episode today. Coming off the back of our previous episode, which featured JC, as you can see here on the screen in that bright yellow t-shirt and the golden tan. Mate, your last episode really took off. A lot of people super interested and engaged with your story, and also the perspective that you had, which was, looking at both sides of the positive and some of the challenges that you faced through it as well. And today's episode is quite unique because last time we talked about Chuck about to go into his own experience with plant medicine, and now we're actually going to share that experience. And one of the very special things about this episode is JC actually accompanied Chuck to go to the retreat and then picked him up afterwards as well. So we're going to listen to JC's perspective on what it was like to drop Chuck off and send him off to school on that day. And then the pickup, what he saw from his point of view in the pickup experience as well, and what changes and what discussions that they had as well. So we're going to come to JC shortly. And for those that don't know, Chuck is a very special man. Most people, if they face one major life challenge, some people get through it. Some people use it as a trauma experience and it can affect their lives. This man has faced more than one, with some experiences involving his children, involving his wife, and also involving his personal health journey, and I guess surviving cancer 2 times and 2 cancer surgeries. So one of the questions he had going into the plant medicine experience is, why me? and what does this mean for me? And Chuck's going to share that experience with us today. So welcome both of you gentlemen, and I'm super excited about our episode today. Chuck, over to you.
Same here. And as you can see, I've been changed by this experience. I'm wearing stuff I've never worn before. My power bracelet, compliments of Alex, JC, Joel, ?
Whatever.
And I got some beads from the tribe. So I guess before we get started, not the most important, but also really cool. We're really pushing towards 10 here. So please go below, click subscribe, click that notification button so that the next episode after this and all the other amazing episodes that we're going to do, we're going to have some really amazing guests, some of which I actually met at this retreat. So make sure you hit subscribe, click that notification so that you're notified when we come out. We're going to come out with one every single week. So I thought, as I put so much work into this, I wanted to do ayahuasca and the people that were at this retreat justice, and everyone that's going to be watching this video justice as well, because this has been a really profound experience in my life. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out how I want to lay it out, and this is going to mostly be in chronological order. So when it comes to my why, I know I talked about that in the last episode, but that evolves, right? Why I decided to do ayahuasca was really because after that emotional roller coaster of my second cancer diagnosis, I was ready to have a deeper knowing and understanding of myself and my purpose, as Ed so eloquently put it. And then here were my 5 intentions. Bless you. Here were my 5 intentions that I wrote down for my experience that I wanted to get out of it. There weren't expectations. They were my intentions of doing this. As Ed said, why me? Why did I have these diseases? And why did my son go through a liver transplant? And why? Just why? Where does my unhealthy relationship with money come from? How do I become the creator and deeply know and understand who I am? And what was the cause, or what has caused my life to end up the way it is right now? And then the last one was, how can I help the world? Went in with these intentions, and really, here's my perspective of my intentions or my why afterwards. So I'll read this to you because this came across my universe a few days after the retreat, and I had to stop, pause, write it down because it so eloquently put my reasonings behind going, and maybe your reasonings behind thinking about doing plant medicine. And it goes like this: your personality, your physical personality, your physical mind is an artificial construct composed of beliefs, emotions, and thought pattern actions. When you have beliefs that are out of alignment with your true self, you cannot help but have emotions. Hence my second cancer diagnosis and falling on the floor, crying, thinking it was the end. So you can't help but have emotions that are also out of alignment with your true self. And you cannot help but have thoughts and actions that are out of alignment with your true self as well. But when you have beliefs that are aligned with your true self, likewise, emotions follow, thoughts follow, actions follow, and it all works out in harmony. The deep soul knowing belief in myself that I now have because of my ayahuasca experience has now put me and put my beliefs in alignment with my true self, and not my emotions, thoughts, and actions that are going to be following this are all in alignment. And that's how I feel, and that's what I got out of this. So, spoiler alert, the episode's over. Just kidding.
Enlightened. He's enlightened.
Yeah, exactly. So let me back up and talk about if you're going to go down a plant medicine avenue, first off, full disclosure, don't do it in your basement. Don't do it in your friend's house if their parents are away on a weekend. Stay completely away from that. It's not fun. It is a journey. It's for healing. Do it with people who are doing it in a ceremonial way. It's a multiple day journey. It's not just about the medicine. It's about the people involved and everything else. So there's my disclaimer. Don't take all the amazing things I'm going to say today to be the judge and jury of what it's going to be like for you. It'll be different for everybody. But what you do need to do is diet day. So this is essentially a purifying diet. This allows the sacred medicine to work the best in your body. So 14 days prior to, and I forgot to save the 14 days. I didn't remember 14 days until 7 days in. So mine was 7. This is a strict diet. I was already really on a strict diet, but this was even more strict. To significantly reduce all stimuli from your body, to prepare your body to allow the medicine to really do its job effectively. So this includes no caffeine, salt, sugar, processed foods, red meat or pork, and no sex. So
even solo sex. No solo sex either.
don't watch anything that would provide toxic thoughts, and then stay away from news, horror, and violent movies so that you can really come in with clear thoughts and with your intentions really aligned. What really was hard for me was the caffeine. I almost for a full day was just out of commission. When I decided I wasn't going to ease my way into it, I decided I was just going to go cold turkey, because it's okay to go cold turkey from drinking 4 cups of coffee a day to 0. And I'm not going to have a headache, but that's how I do things, I guess. And when I had that headache, I realized, okay, I need to do half calf. And I did 1 day half calf after that. And then I've just been on decaf if I do need a coffee ever since. And I actually never will go back. I didn't even realize until completely eliminating caffeine from my diet that how much I relied on that for energy when my body has all the energy that I need. So I feel even more amazing not having caffeine. And I do get, there's a little bit of caffeine in the decaf. So, I'm not completely off of it, but way less than I had before. So it's decaf for me for here on out and not going back. So you get prepared for this. You're not just going on a Friday night to party. Okay. There's a lot that you devote and you show commitment to this journey into the healing process. Some even do diet day for 30 days. Some do it for 60 days. Joel's probably heard of longer. So it's really important to take that serious. I don't have any regrets, but I do really wish that I would have remembered the 14 days and not the 7. I do want to give a shout out and appreciation to Sil, who was the facilitator, and she coordinated the entire retreat. She was amazing. The experience was phenomenal for all of us. She had this great mindset of it being a really small knit group. Joel's experience was with like 100 people. Mine was with 20. And I think Joel was probably a little jealous about that. And, we just had our integration meeting afterwards, yesterday, actually. It was like the second time we all got together, and every single person was talking about how much they just really feel like they still love each other, and they could feel the love in the entire experience. I did. And, I think the 20 person size is really the wheelhouse, and Sill's a big reason for that. They brought in a lady, a beautiful lady named Naomi, who did an amazing job cooking. So thank you for the amazing food. I met an awesome medic. Her name's Christy, and she kept all of us safe. And then she, helped me with the terrible headache that I had right before my third ceremony. So that was awesome. They had amazing singers, amazing drummers, and almost as many volunteers as there were people there journeying to make sure that we're safe and to help us get through our healing. So thank you to all that was involved there. We and I will be forever grateful. All right, so let's get into it, right? So I thought, hey, it'd be probably a little bit helpful for anyone that might be watching this video, not really knowing too much about what is this ayahuasca stuff. I don't know. It took me about 2 years of listening to Joel talk about ayahuasca until I can actually really spell it.
Everybody calls it Ayahuasca.
So it's commonly made by, and I'm going to butcher these names, but prolonged extraction of the stems of Banisteropus kepi vine and the leaves of a Psychotria viridis shrub. But Joel, real quick, talk about just like how crazy the coincidence would be in the rainforest of the Amazon, how they can just randomly combine this shrub and this root because they don't work separately from each other. They have to work. They only work together. So talk to us about that for a little bit.
Yeah, well, to put it into context, I've heard things said like the jungle is their pharmacy, right? These people live in the jungle, sleep in the jungle. They don't have anything else going on except hunting and gathering and experimenting with these different plants. But I said it in the last episode that I've heard in a couple of different videos where these native tribal people were asked, how did you figure out how to make this? And their answer was that the plants told us, right? And before doing ayahuasca, I know that you heard that and thought that's insane. And then after you do ayahuasca, you're like, that makes perfect sense because it talks to you. There's a spirit there speaking to you the whole way. And that whole, for me, remember I was saying that if it wasn't a female voice, I would have thought I was going absolutely nuts. Right? I knew that it wasn't my voice because of that energy or whatever it is. It's hard to explain even after having done it 5 times. It's something not of this world, right? I don't know that I'll ever understand. I've been researching this for years. I mean, it's when I started looking into this in 2023 and now it's a couple of years later and I've had all these experiences and my answer is, I don't know. I don't know what this is, man. I think it's God. That's a hard thing for people to wrap their head around. But, the people that are studying this in Brazil, these scientists and chemists, they call it the God molecule. So there's something there. And everybody seems to have this experience. And I know you're going to talk about what you saw early on, is that everybody seems to say that whatever maybe their perception of what God is, you think every single human being, what is their perception of God? Because we don't know what that looks like. We all have some internal vision of what that actually is. But at the end of the day, we have no clue what it actually is, right? We have like Christians, we have Jesus, so we can make some sort of a connection to what that is. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about, Jesus' father is God, we have no clue what that is. But I definitely saw something, and everybody on Reddit is talking about, I saw God, I met God, I felt God, presence, right?
Yep. So we'll talk about the sacred land that Joel drove me to, and then Joel's thoughts on dropping me off, and he hung out for a little bit and talked to some folks. He actually ran into several people that were journeying with him last year, maybe even
in 2023 actually, which is nuts. I think that's the God winking at me,
Yeah. The first sacred medicine that you start with is Hefe. It's indigenous to the tribes in the Amazon, and it consists of finely powdered blend of tobacco and medicinal herbs. It's like carefully crafted for spiritual and healing purposes. I also had brought home some Hefe, and the feeling that I got the first time I did this, I'm still getting. And I felt like I was vibrating. My whole body was
Coffee
vibrating.
brothers.
Yeah. And it's really helping me and helped me get into this amazing meditation. You know, they say to meditate really well, you have to really go inward. I've always struggled with that. I could go inward and then I'd be completely like starting to have my mind go wild, within 5 minutes, sometimes 5 seconds. And this, because it's so uncomfortable when you first blow this up your nose.
Yeah, but just hold it up and show like they do it to you, but this is the self applicator. But so when you're there with the tribe, imagine this. You've never even seen this. You've never even heard of it. The funny thing is that's not even part. It's not like the instructions that you get from these retreat centers say, hey, by the way, we're going to be blowing this crazy nonsense up your nose. And they come walking up to you with this long pipe and they scoop it out of their hand and they put it up to you and you have to hold it up to your nose. And they say, don't breathe out because you'll blow it into their mouth. And then they blow it. I mean, it's like straight to your pineal gland, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can never prepare for what that feels like.
Mm-mm. Yeah. I mean, you go inward immediately because you have to breathe through it and calm yourself down, especially the first time. And I can't even explain how much I was vibrating. It's not like I was shivering. I was vibrating 5 feet away from my body. I just felt like I had this huge aura about me. I still do when I take it. And I now tell my wife that when I take it, I'm like, I just got hugged by angels. Like it feels terrible at first, but then amazing for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And I can really hone in on just focusing on studying and
Would you
not
say
studying, meditating.
it grounds you? Because that's my best description of it. It just kind of incapacitates you for 5 minutes. And you're talking about the meditation. It takes your brain to stillness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Great way of saying it. They do it because it's supposed to open up the pathway for the medicine to really do its job with the pineal gland. It helps it. It's not going to not work if you don't do it. There's plenty of people who just refuse to do it, but it was a good experience for me. Now, Alex, Joel, JC.
Yeah, whatever.
Talk to our viewers about your perspective of, I got to go there a day early. Let's talk about that. How was that for you to, get me ready for the retreat, but also dropping me off? And how was that experience from your perspective?
Yeah, well, I loved to be able to take you there. It was so cool because, for one thing, Sylvania, Syl, as you called her, she was I call her the second in command at the place where I want Soul Quest to close down. And I will never forget that when I was on my journey that first night, you remember I was talking about leaving my body and seeing God and downloading the universe, and came back and had this ego death when I fell on the ground and was basically morphing with the earth, which, Chuck, I think you had that feeling too, right? I opened my eyes and Sylvania was sitting there in this beautiful white dress with feathers coming out of her head. And she's Brazilian. So if you just picture this context, beautiful tan skinned Brazilian woman with this amazing smile. And she was just kind of sitting there on her knees, like petting me. I opened my eyes and she said, "Happy birthday." That was the first thing I heard when I came back from thinking that I died. Happy birthday. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think I said, are you ayahuasca? Or are you an angel? And so to me, I was so happy that you went there, because I didn't want to. You remember I gave you a couple of different options of places that I knew about, because the one thing that my whole life I've been a micromanager, right? I wanted to say, Chuck, go here, do this, and I had to take a step back. This whole awareness of self that I've gathered in the last couple of years is I wanted him to go there, but I didn't want him to think that I was making the decision for him, right? I knew once he researched that that's where he would land. But the fact that she is now running Sacred Vine, and I met her she was there the 5 ceremonies that I was at Soul Quest. So I had a lot of interaction with her, and I've stayed in contact with her since then. And I knew she was going to open a place. But so, for you to come here and for me to pick you up from the airport, it was funny because Chuck's texted me and said, "Oh, my flight is lands Thursday at 9 a.m. or whatever it was. And I'm just thinking, what the heck? He's not renting a car. And then I was like, I'm going to have to be his chauffeur for the weekend because I'm going to have to pick him up, take him there, pick him up from there, take him back to the airport. But I was actually thrilled about that because, for one thing, that locked me into I was definitely going to go to this place with him and see it and see all these people, because the volunteers there I've also become friends with too. And that's the amazing thing about this. And for someone like me, like, I've always been kind of standoffish. Like, it will take a while for me to let you in, or at least that's how it used to be. You'd have to meet me 3, 4, 5 times before I'd ever open up to somebody. But these people hug you from the first second that you meet them, and you feel this love that you've never felt before, right? It's the modern day hippies, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, we got to hang out and talk, and we didn't talk about a whole lot beforehand, right? Because you had already done your research. I think we talked a little, but nothing. It was happening, right? I didn't need to tell you anything else. I knew that you did your due diligence. But when we got there, it was funny. The instruction, the driving instructions to get there was like, pass this barn, turn left on this dirt road. Please do not disturb.
Run over horses.
Don't drive fast because the horses will throw the people off and kill them. So after we go through all of this, that was actually the instructions. Yeah. So after we drive through all these back roads, we get to the property. And that's when the first person I saw that was standing there at the gate was this guy. I was like, I know you from somewhere. And he says, yeah, from Soul Quest. So I knew, so instantly it all came back. That love feeling. As soon as I stepped foot on that property, I'm telling you, it was if I was doing the ayahuasca again. Right there. I mean, I could just feel the love, seeing all those people, and this property is so much nicer than where I went. Although where I went was such a cool spot, and any place that anybody does ayahuasca the first time, there'll be something there, right? If you did it behind a dumpster, I would imagine that would be a sacred place for you. But this is a 40-acre horse farm, and we're not suggesting do it behind the dumpster, obviously. You already know better. But it's a 40-acre property, so it's basically mimics the jungle. Right? Florida is a rainforest, and you feel like you're in the jungle. And I'm sure that during your journey, once everything got going, you couldn't have told the difference between being in Brazil, in the Amazon rainforest, or in Florida, right?
No.
But I just felt the love. I didn't want to leave, but I'm at this point where I honestly don't know if I'll ever sit and journey again with this medicine. I mean, she told me the last time I did it that you're not doing it anymore. And I don't know if that meant the next ceremony or ever, but I want to be on the other side. I'm basically begging them. So when you watch this video next month, Chuck saw me. I was carrying propane tanks. I was just trying to show, look, I can do this for you. I want to go there and tell her, Sylvania, sit down, tell me what to do, and just meet all these people, show them the love, and let me do the work. Because I genuinely believe that is the point of this medicine, okay? And I've heard that the guy who facilitated, this guy Brad, who now has a place up in Pensacola, I'll never forget his words. He said, the point of ayahuasca is not to get good at drinking ayahuasca. It's to get what you're supposed to get out of it and then take that into the real world. Now, we know there were some people there that said this is their 6th, 7th, 8th time, and they come every 6 months or every year. And that's fine, but I think for me, the point is to not say I need to go drink ayahuasca, because when you say I need to drink ayahuasca, that's a problem. You're having issues, right? You're not doing it because you feel good. And that's why when we were there, Sil asked me, are you going to drink again? I said, I'm in the greatest place I've ever been thanks to this medicine. I have no desire to shake that up, right? I'm good. I don't need to go back into that dimension right now. And I'm not saying that I never will. But for the time being, I want to be a volunteer. I want to sit there and watch people go through this journey. And I think that's what this is all about. Going from being the healed to the healer. Yeah, and that's where the beauty of this medicine is, I think.
People like Sil that are actually like running these organizations, do they continue to regularly use the plant medicine, or are they also like they've been in now they're out and now they're only facilitators?
Well, so the facilitators also drink a very little dose, like a quarter of a cup. And that's something else that I don't totally understand yet, other than it enters them into the spirit world. Wouldn't you say, Chuck? I think that's kind of the gist.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really paying attention to how much they
Yeah.
were taking.
Yeah. Well,
or if they were at all.
I ask a lot of questions, so I have those answers. And I know that they typically do drink a little bit, but it's not a requirement. It's not that it's not as if, okay, if you're going to volunteer, you have to drink ayahuasca. You can just sit there, because really all you're doing as a volunteer is watching the people, and when they need to go to the bathroom, or when you need to change out the puke bucket, or they sometimes just need a hug.
Yep. Exactly. But let's talk about the property for just a second, because you touched on it. It was amazing. They had horses on there. They had outdoor showers that were heated with propane tanks. Cats who were bred to go out and hunt the grounds. They had actually chickens, and they had a little chick that was getting heated by lamps inside, and you can hold them so they get used to people hold them. So that was a cool little experience. I've never actually held the chicken before. I stayed in a tent. You'll see some pictures of where we did the ceremony, and it was in this beautiful open space with just nothing but trees around you. It was perfect. And the company that planned this entire retreat, as Joel described, is called Sacred Vine. So we'll include a link to Sacred Vine in the description of the video, and led by Sylvania Sil. So here's her and Ishan. Sil has gone to Brazil to journey with ayahuasca several times, and this is where she actually met our shaman, Ishan Dashana, from the Hunikuan tribe. And we're going to include in the comments below as well. Please, please, please check it out. Joel, you probably haven't seen this one either, so check it out as well. But there's, Ishan has a Instagram page, so I want you to follow him, but he records a lot of really good music, so you get to hear some of the music that he provided us, and he records it in the beautiful Amazon. So check that out. Ishan actually traveled 3 days from his village to get to Florida just for our ceremony, and it's obviously a 3-day journey back, so it takes a lot for him to come out just for our weekend. Most of us slept in the tents. Some guests slept in, cabins. There were a few cabins that looked pretty nice. So there was, like I said before, about 20 of us journeying, 2 medics, I believe, and roughly 8, 9, or 10 volunteers that helped us with the food, supplies, supporting the ceremony. And they helped a lot of the integration as well. So you have to talk about your journey and what does that mean, because work's just beginning. And the work is afterwards. So we were suggested to arrive around 3 p.m. and I was so excited I made Joel drop me off like 2:30.
But I wouldn't leave that.
Yep. But the actual first ceremony wasn't going to begin until about 7:30 until it got dark. I didn't want to drive or fly in the morning of and be super tired, so I flew in the morning before and stayed with Alex. He was so gracious to let him and his family let me stay at his place the night before and the night after. We spent a lot of time talking, and Joel's explained his journey several times to me, and I had this deep sense of knowing that I needed to clear all of his stories from my brain as much as possible before I did my ceremony, because I was going to have my own journey. And that's one of the things that I had learned as a lesson, and we'll get to that. Many of the people that were there were actually journeying for the 3rd, 8th, some of them even the 20th time. There's about 3 of us that were doing it for the first time, and at that point I was really getting to know everybody. Everyone, as Joel described, it was just so nice. I didn't for once think this was real nice, and they just wanted to hear your story. They weren't perfectly happy explaining their story. And I just remember thinking back about like what was going through my brain, sort of maybe even to your point, Joel, when I kept asking people, so what makes you want to do this more than once? Because I'm thinking maybe subconsciously in my head, I'm doing this once and never doing it again because I hope to be healed. So I'm curious, I guess, like what's bringing you back the 7th time? And they all had amazing reasons, and they all were compounding on the growth that they've already made. And they wanted to ask more questions. And I totally get that now. And I don't think you can get that until you try it. And I think they were probably in their minds thinking, oh, this poor rookie, someday he'll know why anyone would come back and do this again. There was this person that I kept gravitating towards, and so was everybody else. No one would let her be. So many of us would go up to her and ask questions, and her name was Carrie. And after about 5 minutes of talking with Carrie, I knew she was a beautiful soul. She had more health and healing knowledge in her brain that I probably wouldn't be able to learn in 20 years. So anytime I could grab some of your time, I was talking with Carrie, asking her questions and listening intently to her answers. And if I only knew like a short bit of what she knew, I feel like I could help a lot more people. So it was really nice running into her. We've been staying in touch since that as well. And I'm excited to announce that she's agreed to join us on a few of our podcasts. She has so much to share that, I mean, I could spend the next 15 years trying to learn it, or I can just invite her, right? I think all of our viewers would probably prefer not to wait 15 years to learn from someone like that too. She has so much to share with our audience, to teach them about being the CEOs of their own health, physically, mentally, and spiritually. I'm really looking forward to having her on board to join us for a few episodes. I think Joel could probably contest. She's a unique, beautiful character, right?
She said, "I'm extreme." I said, "I'm extreme too." And then she put me in my place. I'll let her tell that story. But I'm not, compared to her, I'm not extreme at all.
So around 5 o'clock ish, we stopped. No one was allowed to eat after like 3:30. Around 5 o'clock, we were blessed to have two very patient individuals, Sil and Carrie, that were administering the Hefe. And once I saw the first person do it, other than like if Joel wouldn't have told me that I got it to do this, I would have said, "I'm out, time out, I'm out of here." Because her face, this was her second time doing ayahuasca, and she had never did the Hefe before. So I was like, okay, let me watch her. And she looked miserable. Not for long, but miserable. And then her mom, believe it or not, this beautiful soul, Rachel, and her mom, Sue, came. And this was their second time doing ayahuasca together. So there's like that kind of normalizes it for people if they hear like a daughter and her mother were doing it together, right? And then Sue takes it, even though she kept looking over at Rachel like, sure. And Rachel's like, yeah, I'm fine. You should do it. So it was, I don't know, like old school peer pressure, but I was doing it for the intention of being ready for the ceremony. And then we just had multiple hours to knock out before it got dark. And I would describe my first ceremony as 50% me being a tourist and 50% me feeling like a hippie. So my first dose, you kind of line up and they ask you how much you want. Of course, they didn't ask me. Sil told Ishan, just give him one scoop. I don't know if it's tablespoon. They don't really tell you, but she said, you start slow. So they eased my way into the medicine. And it actually didn't taste as bad as I thought it was going to. I would describe it as like coffee grounds with a bunch of water, but worse than that. But it wasn't absolutely terrible. I didn't feel any different after my first dose. Ishan starts his ceremonies with the ancestral chants. I found myself just watching and being a tourist and watching everything unfold. I've never seen anything like it before. So I don't know if I was really that curious of going down an experience yet because I was having one, right? And I was sitting there trying to meditate, but I couldn't stop watching. I don't recall after the first dose anyone purging, but not long after the first one, a second dose was offered, and I jumped up immediately for the opportunity. This time they gave me 2 scoops. The prayers continued not long after the purging started. And people were vomiting, people were crying. Until you can experience that for yourself, I've heard about it from Joel, but yeah, you can't really understand what that is. And even then, not feeling the medicine, I didn't really understand. It wasn't until the third ceremony on Saturday night, after I purged myself, did I realize it was a beautiful thing. I, until then, thought it was not disgusting, but somewhat distracting, right? I'm still not feeling anything after these 3 scoops, right? And I'm rotating from like the seated meditation position with my eyes open, still being a tourist and laying down in hopes that I can start to finally feel the medicine. I wasn't sure if I was going to see it with my eyes open or only see it with my eyes closed, so I just kept going back and forth. And I looked over at one of the volunteers, Ashley, who is an amazing singer. I'll talk about her in a little bit. And she said, "You weren't feeling anything, are you?" And I said, yeah, "Nope." She replied, "I didn't feel anything my first time either. So don't worry. She's still working on you." So I'm wondering when this medicine is going to kick in, right? When am I going to start seeing things? So as I gaze up into the beautiful sky, wondering maybe I'll see something, right? I actually see this huge beam of light piercing across the entire sky. Almost like, have you ever seen when nightclubs would have a party and they wanted everyone to know the nightclubs? They used to see it in Glen Burnie all the time, right, Joel? Where
Yes,
you
sir.
the three lights, the three beams, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
"What's that?" And you try to
And
go find it.
Salisbury.
In Salisbury too, yep.
Massage. Club
It was
massage.
it was like that, but across the whole sky, not straight up. It was across the whole sky, and it was panning across the sky, right? And I was just so fixated on this thing. And as it panned across the sky, the stars that it just panned past got brighter and clearer. And I'm wondering, is this me? Like, is this really happening? Or is this like, am I starting to see things? Because I'd be damned if I didn't think that this was like a veil just opening over top of me and everything was clear. And then it went away, and I was actually invited at that point. All of us were invited to stand up and move around and dance a little bit. The music started, and one of the other journeywoman that was one of the three along with me that was journeying for the first time, Blanca. Blanca, I love you. You're beautiful. She came up to me, and mind you, I hadn't actually talked to Blanca yet. I don't even know her name. And she walks up to me as we're all standing up, dancing, and I'm sort of dancing, not feeling anything yet. So I'm like kind of awkwardly dancing. She comes up to me and she puts her arm on my shoulder and she says, "I was told to come tell you something." And I'm like, "Okay." And she could tell I was wondering, like, who told you? And she was like, "Ayahuasca told me, or something told me to come tell you it will be okay. Everything will be all right." And I was basically dumbfounded, just like I am right now. Like, what? I'm not feeling anything. What's this message about? It's certainly not about me right now. So I moved on. Just nothing, didn't really think much of it. The third dose was offered, and I quickly jumped on to participate in that, ready to go. I remember Joel saying at one point, if you're offered a third dose, don't be a boop. Go get it. So I was like, wow, I must have a high tolerance for this. I'm not feeling anything. So I laid down, closed my eyes, and the second after Ashley Addison started to sing, it began. It calmly melted me away, removing myself and all the parts of me that were holding on to this reality. And I gave ayahuasca the opportunity to show herself. So here's the best way I can describe it. Colors and visions filled the tapestry in what can only be described as a combination of video game graphics, trippy movies, and a few images of deceased loved ones, and mind-blowing visuals changing with the melody of the music. So the visuals were rapidly changing. I wasn't a big fan of the rapid changes, but it kept reminding me that my conscious mind is moving a million miles an hour, or that ayahuasca was just trying to have fun with me and ease me into the medicine. Still discovering what it even meant, what she was trying to do there. I'm pretty sure it was just her having fun with me, because every single time the melody would change, the beat would change with like all these crazy images, and it was fun. I was having fun. I was letting her do her thing. I would see the images of some of my deceased grandparents, deceased, expecting that at that point I'm going to have a conversation. The woman of ayahuasca would start talking to me, or being conduit between the two, and we're going to work through some things. How you doing? What is it like on the other side? And nope, as soon as the melody would change, I would get a new image. And I'd be like, stop, no, go back. And she didn't listen. She just kept playing with me. We kept dancing together. So I asked her to slow down, but she just continued to dance with me. It was encouraging for us to, it was a situation that I was slightly annoyed. Like, not annoyed, but slightly annoyed, because I was there to have a transformation. But she really did ease me into some things. So I do appreciate that. We were then encouraged to open our eyes back up and stand up and experience ayahuasca with your eyes open, because it's a freeing, moving, environment. And we, stand up and join some prayers. It was actually the end of the ceremony. So we all, circled around the fire, did some prayers. And I was still, if anything, the medicine was just kicking in. So everyone else was done. And I'm just really still in it, experiencing it with my eyes open, like, okay. And then Blanca walks over to me again, saying that she was told to give me another message. And she said, believe in me. Believe in myself. So this message hit me hard. I mean, I'm still in the medicine, obviously, and I get a little emotional, and I ask her if I can hug her. And, it was not awkward at all. I didn't even know her name at this point, but it was the best hug I could ever get at that point. And it felt like I got the message that I needed. And, ayahuasca wasn't talking to me, but she was talking through other people to me. We had to agree in the beginning of the ceremony not leave the sacred ground and the sacred space until the medicine's done with you. So I stayed there. I grabbed a mat and laid down next to the fire. The shaman and a singer guitar player who was really good, they both stayed with me and a volunteer to make sure I was okay for next several hours. I don't know how long. I didn't even know what time it was. And Aya continued to keep dancing with me. She showed me amazing visuals again. It was just really the same as I described before. As soon as the music stopped and it was just me, Aya and the song of nature, it continued. There's nothing cooler than hearing the sound of animals and it sounds like music, right? And trees and nature, and it sounds like music. So, but as soon as I started hearing gnats flying around my head, I realized, okay, I know I might be coming out of this thing. My reaction was immediately to swat them away, like all of us would. And then it came to my mind that Io was maybe trying to send these gnats to me to heal me. So I said, all right, send another one. I'll let it land on me, and I won't swat it away. And then I hear the next buzzing coming by my left ear, and it goes right past my head, buzzing away to the right. And I start laughing. That I was like, oh, okay, you just wanted me to surrender. You didn't really want a gnat to come eat me. So after about 1,000 gnats ended up landing on me, and I couldn't control it anymore. Decided I had to get up. I needed to go eat. And when I got into the kitchen and realized it was 2:22 in the morning, I realized I was out there for a long time. So I appreciate the shaman and the guitar player for hanging out with me for a long time. But yeah, it was a cool first night. And then the second ceremony was a daytime ceremony. And Joel's always described the daytime ceremonies as so much more light, so much more positive, and just even more beautiful. So I didn't want to miss that. It was actually an option. You didn't have to participate in the daytime. And I'm glad I participated in it. It was definitely a different experience. It started at 9 a.m. So as you can imagine, I didn't get much sleep, but I had plenty of energy, believe it or not. I wasn't tired at all. Again, still not drinking coffee. Still facilitated this ceremony. There was no shaman for the daytime, but instead of all the music and the live music that there was at the night, there was a Bluetooth speaker. And I believe Ashley was there and the drummer was there, and just ayahuasca music. It was fine. And I'm not saying it this way because I wish that it was different. But yeah, it didn't compare to the live music. The live music is just, you can't beat live music, right?
And the real shaman.
And the real shaman.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's a big deal.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to give a shout out to is Ashley, because she sang at every ceremony and her voice is a voice of an angel. We're going to include her YouTube channel in our descriptions as well. Please go listen to her. Like, I don't care if you're on the medicine or not. You will find that her voice is beautiful as well. And I hope that we get a lot of views and that she gets a lot of views as well, because she deserves it. So this time it actually didn't take very long for this first dose to kick in. I don't even remember how much I got, probably only 2 scoops, and that's it. I started to see similar visuals, and Iowa's continued to dance with me. But this time I got even more distracted by the purging and crying going on around me. I was laying next to 2 that were doing it extremely. They were working through some stuff, man. Good for them. One was crying hysterically and the other was purging a lot. And I just could not go inward. I, at that point, didn't even remember them saying to ask for Hefe, or to ask for more if you feel like you need it. I was lying there for, I guess, 4 hours being distracted by everything, thinking, what am I doing wrong? Right? I wanted this transformation and was done with Aya just taking it easy on me. And I kept asking her for the transformation. And then it was later described to me that I was really just in her tunnel and I wasn't all the way in the medicine. And if I were all the way in, I wouldn't have noticed all the purging and crying going on around me. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. The first and second ceremony were a lesson to me in the fact that I needed to surrender and I need to learn that it's okay to ask for help. I guess I don't do that enough. I definitely don't surrender enough to speak up, right? And to ask for what I need. I think we all can learn from that. I definitely need to do that more. I need to release all judgments and surrender to all things. That I have free will and no one has ever made a choice for me but me. Actions are all that matter. And that there are infinite possibilities and time is a healer. To only make important decisions after 3 nights is another really good nugget that I got from those first 2 ceremonies. I'll repeat that. Only make important decisions after 3 nights of sleep, and that I am the medicine. I may not have been in the medicine, but in the tunnel, I was even realizing that, oh, wow, I actually am the medicine. I can heal myself. Life is the ceremony, and I am the creator. Control stops at my fingertips, and just be present in the moment. I am the culmination of the choices I make. So those were first and second ceremony takeaways. And I gave this message to myself, stole this from Carrie and wrote it down, and we'll never forget it. I'm sorry about the shit I did to you while I was pretending I wasn't you.
Mhm.
So I repeat that to myself a lot because it really hit home.
You have unpacked a lot there, including your last message to yourself is quite compelling. I'm sorry about the shit I did to you when I was pretending I wasn't you. Like holy shit. Wow.
Yeah.
To speak to yourself like that, that's a true transcendence to reach that level of honesty. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What came up when you actually asked yourself or you made that statement to yourself?
Sorrow, right? It's probably the biggest thing. Like regret, maybe. Like why? Why have I pretended I wasn't me, right? I don't know if anybody else has ever struggled with this, but I probably would never ever admit it other than just in this place right now where I am at peace with who I am. But I care too much about what people think, right? I care way too much,
Everybody does. Everybody does.
and that since maybe middle school, high school, where like I had to figure people out, man. And while that's a blessing, and it's taught me a lot of life skills, subconsciously, it's a freaking awful thing to do. I am scared of the time period of my children's lives where that changes. I love how they don't care. They're so free. I am there again. I'm still working on being there again every day. But that's what came across my mind reading this and hearing Carrie say this and writing it down and really putting it in as a message to myself all the time.
But now the beauty is that you're equipped to teach your kids that, right?
Mm.
And that's the point, is that we do better than our parents and teach our kids how to be better parents than we are, right?
Mhm.
That's the trajectory of us waking up and learning these lessons, because now it's that whole, once you understand that concept, you can transfer that, and not just to your kids, to other people. By just you making this video and saying that, we're teaching the world something that's so basic, right? That you shouldn't care about what other people think, right? Just be you. And that's what this medicine taught me. You know, you saw a change in me. I'm telling the world these crazy stories and I don't care, because that's me. I love me, right? And if you don't love me, then I think you're missing out.
I always think it's amazing when you see some old granddads or grandmas cruising around wearing whatever the hell they want and driving however they want and not really caring what anyone thinks. I think all of us as men, speaking from a male perspective, there is certainly an age, 14, 15 years, where we start to hit puberty, where our mindset starts to change. My oldest son, Nicholas, now, he's just turned 15. And on his last visit, we went one day, we're out shopping and we're at Zara or H&M, someplace like that. And he wanted to look at some pants and he wanted his shirt to be kind of big and baggy. And it really, really reminded me of that time in my life. When I was around 15, I was a pretty skinny kid and I wanted to start wearing baggy clothes to kind of hide my insecurities, appear to be bigger. When I look back now, I used to think, oh, people are going to think I'm skinny. They're going to say I'm skinny. They're going to think I'm weak. When I look back now, no one ever thought that. It was all me.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to see with children when they're going through that teenagehood, for men, maybe the age is a little bit different to women. I think women are a little bit younger, maybe around 12, 13 when they go through that age as well. But if there are any young people watching this, or people who do have children that are coming into teenage years, just assure them, you know what, everything that you think people care about, actually other people don't care about it at all. They're not even looking at you. They're not caring about you. They don't even have an opinion on you.
Because they're
They're
worried
worried
about
about themselves.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, if we could skip that part of our life, oh my goodness, like how much more happier and how many more years or decades of self-esteem and confidence and willingness to just take on this life and everything it throws at us without worrying about other people. Oh my God, the world will be a different place.
Yes.
So I think what you experienced there was maybe apologizing to yourself for going through that. Everyone does go through it, but being able to face it and accept, this is something that I did to myself. We all have as well. And you've really opened up a can of worms with me thinking about this. I haven't done plant medicine, but oh my goodness, what you've just spoken about there really, really just took me back on a time journey back to my teenage years where I cared so much. I was living at the beach. I was a surfy kid. I had the long blonde hair. I had to make sure I had a tan, had to make sure I was wearing Billabong and Quicksilver and Rip Curl clothing, I even remember at one time, maybe our family didn't have a lot of money. So my mother bought some board shorts from Kmart, but I took off the label and sewed on a Rip Curl or a Quicksilver label onto the board shorts to give me that confidence. But no one cared at all. Thanks, Chuck, for that. You have already helped one person, at least, me, to discover something about myself. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, I think what a great spot to end episode 1 on this. And I got about just as much to share, more to share. So this isn't the end of this story. Stick around for the next episode. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you click that bell button so that you know when the next one comes so you can finish the story with us.
Yeah, absolutely. The sequel coming soon. Thanks, guys, and look forward to our next episode. Cannot wait to hear about your third journey and also from JC's perspective, what he saw and what changed in you from his eyes.